It was given to them by the prevent money, and it prevents money they give it to you to have the youth, Muslims or the non-Muslims, from do like activities for them to stay away from the road or from extremism. Okay, it was given to them by the prevent money, and it prevents money they give it to you to have the youth, Muslims or the non-Muslims, from do like activities for them to stay away from the road or from extremism. Okay?
But now
well, this brings me to, sorry to cut you. This brings me to a couple of other points, because you mentioned Abu Hamza, Abu Qatada.
Yes.
It's been mentioned by another brother, some Takfiri brother, that, and I believe Shamsi, he alluded to it in the same video. So that you had snitched on Abu Hamza and Abu Qatada and other Muslims while using the prevent money, right? They call you a snitch, bro. So are you a snitch or what?
You know what? This is one of the things that they've been calling us for a long time. When one of these individuals made this allegation, and we arranged to meet in Crystal Palace, and I asked him, bring the proof of this statement that you say we've done this. And I put my phone out and I dialed my digits to say, I'm going to call my family and all of my kids, and I'm going to invoke the curse of Allah upon myself and my family if I'm lying. Get your phone out.
Can you mention the name of the person? Are you comfortable mentioning the name of the person?
Shakil Beg. Shakil Beg. He knows his colleagues were there at the same time, and some of my colleagues. We met in a neutral place, a cafe in Crystal Palace. His hand started shaking and he wouldn't take his phone out. And even his colleagues saw that. I said, take the phone out. Let's get ready to invoke the curse. Then he said, you didn't say that. You never did that. His colleagues looked at him amazed and in anger. So why have you been slandering him with this statement all these years now? And he apologized to me there and then. Okay. Now, again, let's move on to others. Snitch, this, that, and the other. I'd like to know of one police statement, one secret evidence, one single individual, including of that rabid Takfiri, hundreds of scholars, where I've given evidence at all against any Muslim. But I will tell you this, Bilal, and I'm going to flip it now. I have, however, been a defense witness for individuals charged with extremist charges. I'll give one. When the solicitors came to me for Zacharias Masawi, they came to me and they said, none of these associates will give evidence on his behalf. These wonderful Takfiri supporters of his. None of them would give evidence. They came to me and said, we want you to be a defense witness. And you can see this on the record. You can see if you look on his case. And I said, but you know I oppose his ideology. I said, no, but we know that you'll give a fair character witness about him. We want to avert the death penalty. So you know what? I thought about it and I said, you know, I want to avert the death penalty because I don't want to see any Western system put a Muslim to death. The flip side of that as well is I didn't want him to get martyrdom at the hands of the great shaitan, because you know the Takfiris would have said, yeah, he's a hero, he's a martyr. So this is my thinking. So I gave evidence for him, and the evidence is there. Didn't damn him, said he was vociferous, said he'd gone on the road of extremism. The evidence was successful, as was other evidence, character references that were given. And as you know, he's now serving life. He wasn't put to death, because I still hold that now. I've only ever, Bilal, ever, and it will always be my stance, given evidence to defend Muslims. Just like when I was an expert witness in the case, the Jihad Jamie case, flew out, did assessment because of my PhD, gave an analysis, said she's not extreme, everything like that. The judge listened to my evidence. They reduced, they said she was going for a 35-year sentence. She only had to serve 8 years. So let's be clear again, Bilal. And I want to ask all those big loudmouth Abu Khadeejites and the Takfiris, Have you ever given evidence on behalf of these individuals to make sure that you can avert or reduce their sentences because you don't agree with the oppressive legislation that incarcerates them? Have you? Please, one of you come forward across the Western world. I've never said this before, knowing it's going out there, but I want to ask that question to all these big mouth keyboard cowards who want to throw informer, this. You can't bring that, because that's not something that I've done ever.
Yeah.
In statement, in secret, in anything. And now let's come to my point of where they asked the question, so when would you say something? Just like you, Bilal, just like any other individual who is a citizen of the country that they live in, the only time it is permissible, the scholars have said this, to say anything is if you know with certain knowledge, all of the yaqeens, ayn al-yaqeen, haqq al-yaqeen, ilm al-yaqeen, that this individual is going to do a terrorist act. And there's a caveat, and you can't prevent him yourself. Then it's an obligation to notify the authorities. Have we had to do that? We've never been in such a situation. I've never known of individuals to have got to that particular stage. Never. Even when Richard Reed, that's Abdul Rahim, the shoe bomber, Zacharias Masawi, they left our communities because they saw a resilience to their pathway of ideological extremism when they were becoming takfiris. After that, they dropped below the radar. We didn't know anything about them. So those of you who are listening, and they're going to come back, Bilal, I don't read the comments and everything. Bring one evidence, not the newspaper, because the newspaper, you say, recite Surah Hujurat, yes? When a lying facet comes to you, verify the truth. But suddenly, the newspaper are the truth carriers.
And the funny thing is, I just want to jump in here, right? But they basically, based upon what you have just told us, they essentially spun the entire story. Because in that question, you were asking a question rhetorically about why they stopped sending you the funding. You weren't asking like why am I not getting no more money? Why are they trying to stop me from kids and I got bills. That's how they made it seem like.
The prevent money has been given him £300,000 yearly, and when they stopped it, he was crying. And he was complaining, not crying literally, but that's what they say according to the articles in the newspaper.
No, BBC. BBC.
Bilal, if you look, check it, as I said, check it. One of the things that they tried to do, which they succeeded with others, was to get me to leave Saudi, give up my career here, to come and run my project. And I said, as you say in the West, in America and Canada, hell no. I kept my career. I continued working because I'm no fool in that sense that those who did that, they're the bitter ones now. I can name them. You can see them always lamenting, and the government this, the government that. No, at the point. And Bilal, we were successful because my organization was the only one they said, can you start a sister organization? Which I did in Hounslow, gave it over to some brothers there, and said, go with it because of the success. But they didn't have the same demographics that we did. They didn't have the same sort of catchment of individuals that we did. And again, I want to repeat
ask you before
yes.
we get too far, right? I want to ask you a very important question, right? Because Shamsi alluded to the fact that you were stealing the money, right? This is what he clearly said that he's saying that where did that 300,000 pounds go? This is basically alluding that you're a thief, right? So what about transparency in the way that you've spent the money, and what about transparency in the way that the money was spent with reading?
Right.
reading.
Good question.
He seems he was complaining. Okay, so my brother Muhammad, how come you haven't not that investigation on him?
One more thing, sir.
£300,000 yearly. Where's the money gone, bro?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
He seems he was complaining. Okay. So my brother Muhammad, how come you haven't not that investigation on him? £3,000 yearly. Where's the money gone, bro?
Our finances, every aspect of the finances were accounted for, evaluated, as I told you, by an independent evaluation team that the government saw how good they were and then asked them to evaluate all of the projects. We had our accounts checked and done. You'll see that when our money was increased, it was because my payroll increased because of the number of individuals who were working on the project. We had premises that were fully kitted out, and there's a video of those premises on my YouTube channel. It's a very small YouTube channel because I don't really push that stuff out, but you'll see in there decorated a center where they could go almost 24/7. So all of the finances went to projects. I had work streams, that's there, my PhD, it's on the website. I had work streams where we had outreach activities. They were doing boxing, halal of course, they were doing wrestling, they were doing football, they were going on excursions. We had janazah projects. Then you had the youth base, or youth center you would call it, where we had activities in there, PlayStation, pool, they'd watch documentaries where we'd be doing engagement with them and everything. Then we had the third one where there was counseling, where we had sessions on weekends for sisters. They would have the center for themselves and sisters would be counseling other sisters, engaging with them, empowering them. We paid for individuals to finish their degrees. We paid for individuals to go on training courses. That's where all the money was going, Bilal. Yet some of us thought I got part salary, but because I was working in Saudi, I couldn't pay myself in the way that I wanted to. Others got salaries. I made sure they were all getting paid. And do you know what, Bilal? One of the things I did, because the individuals were coming from a street background, and I saw that as a qualification of life. Okay, I know it might sound corny, but they were qualified in the school of hard knocks. So I paid them a wage that some of them had never been getting before. And it was recognized these individuals have the expertise to go into their communities and deal with these hard to reach individuals. So Bilal, that's where all the money went. No one. Somebody came from another organization and they said, a brother who joined us, and he said, SubhanAllah Abdul Haq, I can see that you're actually putting the money back into the organization. I said, yes. I had young men who hadn't worked before. They worked on the road, pushing all sorts of things and gang. They became polished professionals and they're working professionally now. That's where the money went. Everything. And let me say this to you, Bilal. If that wasn't the case, why did the government agree on the second year to increase the money they were giving us because of our payroll? And what did I do with that, Bilal? Did I buy myself a Mercedes or whatever? No.
You mean you didn't buy your Mercedes, bro?
No. What we did, Bilal, what we actually did is we increased our personnel. We brought on more staff from the streets, individuals who were once attending and were participants of the project. They joined us. And that's why the motto of Street was, it's for you from people like you. It's studies have been done on Street. My own PhD looked at it. We've got the studies that are out there that can be accessed, the financial structure and everything that we did in the activities. So that money went back into those who were working and those who we were engaging with. Unlike Reading now, where you've got CCTV footage of Naveed from Reading, you've got Abdulillah getting involved further down the line on telephone calls. And we know that they got money using a charitable number that didn't belong to their organization. This is fraud. And Naveed's brother, you hear him in the CCTV, Naveed talking about his own brother, who I also knew, okay, saying, yes, my brother and the other individual, Khalid, I believe it was, if I'm wrong, it's not Khalid, it's someone else. They admitted they had stolen the money. They had misappropriated the money. That's the difference.
I'll leave the links in the description for all this too, inshallah. Right, because all you're saying is it's already on the internet, like it's there for everybody the whole world can see it if they want the truth, right? Right. So now the brother Shamsi, he brought an email saying that the council there at Reading is pleased with the way that the money was spent. So how do you respond to that?
Did they lie to them about how they spent the money? Did they provide a breakdown on how they spent the money? This is the thing we've got to look at. That is such a spurious claim when you've got an admission of guilt on the one hand that yes, the money was misappropriated and stolen. So are you saying the council were pleased with you stealing the money on your own admission? Or did you present a lie to the council and fed them a lie which they believed in? Which one is it? Because even if you fed them a lie, you know yourself that you've lied to them because there's an admission from your cult that the money was stolen. The thieves admitted they'd stolen the money and that they were going to return it. So can you see the conflict in that narration? Here's an email. Really?
Well, yeah, I personally, I saw it instantly, but you know, we're living in 2019, and unfortunately, a lot of our youth will believe anybody with a lot of followers on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. If you have enough followers, anything you say becomes a truth, and that's just the reality of the time that we're living in.
Remember, right? we're in the time. I believe we're in the time of what the Shuyukh told us, the Rawaybidah.
Yes,
the Rawaybidah, where
perfect description.
The liar will be believed, and the truth will be held as a liar. And the Rawayba are those despicable people who speak about public affairs and don't have any basis or knowledge to do that. We are seeing the time of the Rawaybidah, and you're seeing them actually shamelessly putting up videos and speaking and everything like that, like this individual, the lackey of the Abu Khadeejite cult.
Anything else you want to cover before we go, bro?
I think I've covered everything, but all I can say is this, Bilal. Those who are really looking to discern the truth and see what the mess is and has been amongst the Salafis will look and follow the evidence and listen. Now, let's be clear on this, because people like to fall with groupisms. You're not with any group or calling to any group at the moment.
No.
Neither am I, okay? Because that's not what this is about. It's about revealing the truth, exposing the truth, and warning against those who continue to lie for their own ends.
Yeah.
And those who are sincerely looking to see what the truth of the matter is. Just like, and I hasten to add, and I'm going to conclude on this point, some of those takfiris that wanted to confront me, and I'm going to say this hasn't been said before by me publicly. Some of those takfiris who wanted to confront me at various levels, violence, we had to meet, talk, there were standoffs and everything like that. I found them to be more sincere in getting to the truth of the matter than this Abu Khadeejite cult and their followers. And I'll tell you why, because when I've had similar accusations put forward, not this rabid Khariji individual who was cursed my family, this, that, and whatever. Not him. You go back and look at some of his other videos just to see what type of individual and character he is. But some of those who really carry some weight amongst their circles. And when I've presented things to them, and maybe another time I will prevent some of the challenges that I've gone through, which made them see, he can't be this informer. He can't be a snitch. Not after going through this. Not after that. We've heard about this. We've heard about that. And when the evidence has been put before them, they've actually said, you know what? I'm going to tell my foot soldiers not to talk about you anymore. This is the takfiris, some of these takfiri individuals. Some of them have withdrawn. Some of them are now on Salafiyah and they've come to me. Yeah, I know some of them.
Yeah.
But their sincerity is established. Whereas when you look at the Abu Khadeejite leaders, you have to doubt their integrity and their sincerity. You have to. The actions are there. And I will conclude on that point. And that's not me now doing what Shamsi did, citing a takfiri against the Salafi. What I'm saying is, in my engagement with those who have opposed me, I see an element of sincerity with those individuals who really want to arrive at the truth. But with these individuals, they're an altogether different kettle of fish. And I'll leave it at that. The adhan's going for Maghrib now.
I have one more question before you go. It's a quick question. I don't know if you have any knowledge about.
Is the lighting okay, or do I need to put on some other lights?
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait 1 moment. I'm going to put my AC on, so I'm going to go for 1 second. Don't go away.
No problem.
That's the adhan going back there. So
yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So I have one last question, right? I just thought of it now, right? So I don't know if you have any knowledge about this particular question, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come up. So if there was this fraud involved with the brothers at Reading and the brothers at Spubs, then why haven't the brothers at Reading taken it to the authorities or put them to task in a legal manner?
Because the extent of their cultism, as you know, is that they can do all sorts of criminality with women, with money, with the deen, that they will never reveal or go to the authorities or even admonish each other. We got the situation in America where that individual is still in hiding, from what I know, who was raping his stepdaughter. And you saw them go very quiet about that. You saw there was even one of their followers hitting a brother in the Prophet ﷺ's masjid. You don't see any admonition there. You see the multiple marriages and divorce and abuse and everything like that. You don't see any admonition there. So this is just this is a pebble in the ocean with regards to the finance, because they've done other things financially, which they know others haven't caught up with them on. You've got Hassan Somali and the allegations against him with real estate and finances in America. They will, like a cult, it is the trend and pattern of a cult that they will always close ranks when it concerns one of their own.
Yeah.
And then when they expose him, like when they feel that he has gone beyond the pale, like Sheikh Mohammed ibn Hadi, then the gloves are off and they're pulling out the court transcripts from previously, which they buried, and they put questions and doubts on it and everything like that. But they suddenly bring it out and say, look what happened to the Sheikh, and he was scared and everything. But beforehand, it was, how can this person go against the Sheikh? Citing Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, who was imprisoned and such. This is the behavior of this cult. And it's synonymous with all other cults.
Yeah. Did you see that one with Bilal Davis? He's like, and this individual, he refuted 77 people of Ahlul Sunnah. And I heard that from Bilal. He was like, what are you talking about, bro? What about the hundreds of Salafis that you people have thrown off the Sunnah? You talking about?
There you go. There you go. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, Allah will reward you tremendously for all your work, and may Allah make it
my brother
heavy on your scales on Yawm al-Qiyamah.
Ameen wa anta kadhalik.
Increase you in your patience and keep you firm upon the truth. You know, it's a shame that more of the Salafis, they don't know about you, but inshallah, because I believe that you're a very important individual in terms of Western Salafiyah, right? And
Jazakallah khair.
So
if they want, alhamdulillah, as long as Allah knows what I'm doing, then this is good enough for me, mashallah. But you've seen my culture's tendencies. I've done the Chronicles of UK Salafism in the podcast, so refer them to that if they've got any questions.
And maybe you can mention some of your books as well before.
There's my book, Extremists in Our Midst, Confronting Terrorism, which was released in 2011. That was based on my PhD, and then paperback edition was then subsequently released in 2015. I've contributed to other books on Muslim youth, for example, talking about the urban Salafis and those who've got the potential from those particular communities, and then community-based projects that counter radicalization. I've contributed to books by Professor Basia Spalik, Sadiq Hamid in these instances. And then there's my website where if you want to know what I'm about with regards to what my focus and what I'm looking at, and whether I was crying over spilt milk about Prevent, then you only have to go to my website and you can see my articles there. And again, as I said, those who are fighting and speaking out against Prevent now, from 2011 thereabouts, I joined, not forces with them, but I joined that crescendo of voices, because from within, and having engaged from within, I could see where it was going. And Bilal, this is an important point I think I'd need to conclude on. Some were criticizing, why did you go and take Prevent money? Coming from the African Caribbean, or Afropean, I like to use, community, we were always at the receiving end of police brutality and state legislated brutality and prosecution from above. When the opportunity came to form a buffer, because of our knowledge and experience, to protect black convert, white convert communities from having that same experience that we had, where we didn't have a buffer. There was no entity, no organization, no elders that would stand and face the government and say, okay, you want to give funds, we're going to use those funds to empower these youth. We're not going to put them under a prism of suspicion. We didn't have that. We needed to be ahead of the curve this time. And we said, we're going to try that and do that. And for 2 to 3 years, it worked. And all of those who came out of prison, those who engaged and everything, will tell you, you can't say anything against Street in that respect there. When the pressure and the avalanche came from statutory government, what pressure that we want you to turn around and become an informant entity, and we said no, then we became ostracized, we're non-violent extremists, and funding was cut. And there was no crying as a result of that, Bilal. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
آمين آمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.